What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. In the car community, there has always been a debate whether a manual transmission or automatic transmission is better, and if you're still considered a car enthusiast if you prefer automatic transmissions over manuals. Today's video is going to be all about that question, and we're going to go over whether a manual transmission is actually better than an automatic transmission. So I've arrived at my filming spot, and of course there's two cops just chilling there. I have no idea whether or not I'm allowed to be here, like if it's public property or private property. So there's a chance that I might get kicked out. Hopefully not, because this is kind of where I film like all of my videos. So if I get kicked out, that'll be a little annoying, but I'm hoping they'll understand. And before we start, I want you guys to comment down below and let me know whether you drive an automatic car or a manual car, and let me know why. I'm really curious, and I feel like that'll kind of prove the thesis that I have and I'm trying to prove in this video. So go ahead and do that. So to start off, I'm just gonna say I do drive a manual transmission car. We're here in my 2013 Civic Si, and as you can see, 6-speed, 3 pedals. So yes, manual transmission car. But that being said, I'm gonna make this video with a complete non-biased perspective because I know both manual transmissions and automatics have their advantages and disadvantages. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go through them. For starters, the number one thing I love about driving a manual transmission car is I genuinely just have such a good time every single time I drive my car. Like, I've had this car for what, like 3 years now, over 3 years, and every single time I hop in this car, whether it's commuting to school, commuting to work, or just going on a drive, I can genuinely say that I thoroughly enjoy the experience every single time, and that definitely has to do with the fact that it's manual. There's something I just absolutely love about just going through the gears and whatnot. So for me, that's the biggest upside. Moving on, I think that the next big advantage is driving a manual car just overall 100% makes you a better driver. And the reason for that, I think, is it has to do with a lot of multitasking. You have a lot of different things that are going on when you're driving a manual transmission. So like, you have to be coordinated to use both your feet at the same time, also knowing what gear you're in, what to do when you come to a stop. And don't get me wrong, that sounds complicated and a little intimidating at the beginning, but trust me, after like 2 days of driving, it literally becomes second nature and you don't even think about what you're doing. But overall, it just makes you a lot more aware of what you're doing and definitely makes you a better driver. And a little update, cops are still there, have not given me a hard time yet. I have to go ask them if they want to get featured in the video. I don't know, man. Could have some interesting content going on. I also think that even if you don't drive a manual car, you should 100% learn how to and have that skill in your back pocket, because you truly never know when you're gonna need it. For an example, if you're watching this video and you're from North America, obviously in North America, having an automatic car is the norm. But if you go on vacation and find yourself in another continent, I can guarantee you that driving a manual transmission is the norm there. And for some reason, North America has just kind of strayed away from it. But in a lot of other countries, driving a manual transmission is definitely the norm. So regardless of which one's better, aside from that whole argument, I'm gonna go out there and say 100% every single person should know how to drive a manual transmission car. I know personally, like all my friends, I offer to teach them just because I think that everyone should know, and I genuinely kind of have a good time teaching people, and I don't mind, because honestly, if you teach someone the right way, they're not gonna mess up your clutch. And if you want to know the right way to learn, I have a little video for you to watch right there, and it'll go over the #1 tip on how to drive a manual car. And as for, in my opinion, the only disadvantage to driving a manual car is, you guessed it, driving in traffic. I personally don't think it's the absolute worst thing in the world, mostly because I drive a Civic with an insanely light clutch, so it's not really a big deal. But driving in traffic is definitely extremely annoying. It's just first gear, second gear, back to neutral, and then first gear, and then second gear, and whoa, we got to third, nope, back to first. That's literally an exact reenactment to the T of every single time you drive a manual car in traffic. So yes, it is really annoying, but unless your daily commute is like more than 20 minutes of straight traffic, then I can't really see it being too big of a deal. And I know personally that wouldn't really make me want to not drive a manual car. I've driven this car in traffic where I was in it for like 2 hours straight, and it definitely sucked, but I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons, in my opinion anyways. But that being said, that's the only disadvantage that I find. I mean, if you just simply do not like driving a manual transmission car and you just think automatic is just so much more simpler and so much more convenient, then 100% do your thing. But me personally, I don't know if this has to do with the fact that I'm a car enthusiast. I think that throughout my life, I will always need a manual car in my garage, or I'll just be thoroughly disappointed. Now, to talk about cars with automatic transmissions, nowadays automatic transmissions are just so good and they're just so quick and precise. I can definitely see why auto manufacturers are just not producing manual transmissions at all, because in reality it kind of makes a lot more sense than producing manual cars. Like, the technology in like the last like 5 to 10 years has advanced so much that's actually insane. Like, if you look back at before 2010, automatic transmissions were like kind of shit. They were just slow, broke a lot, slow shifts, not precise. They were just crap, and that's why we saw a lot more manual sports cars, because the automatics just were not there yet. But nowadays we're seeing entry level sports cars with dual clutch transmissions, which is absolutely insane. So not only are the transmissions shifting more quick, but they're also a lot more lighter. And it's actually crazy that we're producing cars that are like 20-30 grand brand new that come with dual clutch transmissions. So it's really cool, and also in a sense, like, it kind of sucks to see manual transmissions getting phased out, but it's just the way technology is going and you can't really argue with it. And before we move on, last video I did a lip install. I'll go ahead and link that right here. Really cool video, in my opinion, probably the best video I've made so far in terms of quality and kind of production and whatnot. And it was also just like really fun doing an install video, so like I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's probably why it's my favorite video so far. But if you're wondering, this lip has held up pretty decent so far. Again, like I said before, the fitment on it's pretty garbage, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and fill in these gaps, and it scrapes on absolutely everything. I don't know how I'm gonna drive around when I lower my car to my summer ride height, because right now it's on my winter ride height and it's already scraping on everything. And now, if you're looking to get your first car and you're deciding whether you want to get a manual car or an automatic car, there's a few factors that's going to go into that. But overall, I'm just going to start off by saying I really think you should get a manual car. And the first couple reasons for that is, like I said before, number one, it makes you a lot better driver. So if you learn driving a manual car, I think overall when you switch to an automatic car, you'll just be a way better driver. And number two, like I said before, when I said everyone should learn how to drive a manual car, I think it being your first car, it's kind of instilled in you and it'll become like second nature. And even if you don't drive it for like 10 years, I genuinely think that you'll just pick it up like that if you're ever in a situation where you need to drive it. And I know the thought of driving a manual car can be very intimidating. I know at first I was like, damn, there's so many things to do. Like, I'm gonna be so slow off the line at like red lights. People are gonna be behind me honking and whatnot. But after your like first couple days, you're mint. And who knows, maybe you'll be like me and absolutely love it and it'll just become a passion of yours and you'll find a new hobby. But just to reiterate, if you're in the market for your first car and you're thinking of possibly getting a manual car, I would say just go for it. I know you might think like, wow, it's my first car, I'm new to driving, maybe I shouldn't overcomplicate it. But you pick it up so quick that I think the benefits just outweigh all the scary doubts and whatnot and how intimidating it actually is. Yeah, I'm not trying to say anything bad about police officers or anything, but these two cops, like two different cars, have been chilling here for like over an hour now. In all fairness, it is a Sunday and there's probably not much to do. You guys have just been watching me film for a minute now. And now to move on to the last little topic in this video, and it's the whole thing about car enthusiasts and the whole car community and how they feel about manual versus automatics. And there's a lot of people that will say if you drive an automatic car, you're not a true car enthusiast. And me, someone who drives a manual car, will go out there and say that is complete bullshit. Because the fact is, there are so many sport cars out there that are made for car enthusiasts nowadays that do not come in manual, that is just such a non-valid argument, and the fact that the argument is still going around is just so stupid. And of course, to be a true car enthusiast, you have to love driving and whatnot. And driving a manual car definitely enhances that experience. You feel more connected to the road. You definitely have more control over your car. And in my personal opinion, being a car enthusiast has nothing to do with driving a manual or automatic car. Especially if like your first car is a hand-me-down and it just happened to be an automatic, but you truly enjoy cars and you're just driving around what you get to drive around. I just don't think it's a fair argument whatsoever, and I think it's kind of stupid and overused. So yeah, that's just my little rant on the whole car enthusiast versus automatic versus manual versus stupidness. So there you guys have it. If you haven't already, let me know down below if you drive an automatic car or a manual car, why you drive that car, and if you drive an automatic car, if you know how to drive a manual car. So be sure to let me know down below. So this video is effectively over. If you guys have enjoyed this video at all, please be sure to leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button. I post every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so be sure not to miss a single video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and make sure you have yourself a great day.